The first time the courier called my cat by name, I decided I was just sleep-deprived. I'd been awake 30-something hours, drowning in code, when the intercom buzzed. Late night, empty stomach, standard, I give up, I'm ordering food moment. I hit the button. Yes. Delivery for Ola. 13th floor, apartment 62, right? Calm male voice, a little tired. Yeah, I'll buzz you in. Elevator slow. A short pause. Static hummed in the line. It's fine, he said. I'll take the stairs. Barsic doesn't like the elevator anyway. I actually laughed. Yeah, that. I froze. Wait, what? The line went dead. My cat chose that moment to rub against my ankle and complain. His tag clinking softly. I stared at him, then at the intercom. Did you tell him your name? I muttered. Nobody knows my cat's name. I don't post about him. I don't have friends over. The tag hangs flipped most of the time. I shrugged it off. Maybe the courier had delivered before and heard me yelling at the cat. Maybe I'm just paranoid. A minute later, stairs creaked, footsteps approached, the doorbell rang. I opened. Courier. Late 30s maybe, delivery jacket, cap, big insulated backpack. Ordinary. Forgettable. Until he spoke. Chicken noodles without peanuts, he said, handing me the bag. Extra scallions. No coriander. And the mango smoothie, no sugar syrup. That's right, I said slowly. His eyes flicked past me into the apartment, then down to my cat, who, traitor that he is, walked right up to him. Barsic, the courier said calmly. You'll get your share later. My skin prickled. How do you know my cat's name? It's on his tag, he said. It's flipped. You can't. He cut me off like it was nothing. Take an antihistamine before you eat. Sauce might have traces of sesame. I just stared. How do you know I'm allergic to sesame? It's in your profile. No, it's not. I never saved it, I only write it in comments. And this time I forgot. He looked at me like he was waiting for me to catch up. Comments are still data, he said. Have a good night, Ola. He turned and walked away, unhurried. By the time my brain rebooted enough to step into the corridor, he was gone. No elevator sounds, no steps on the stairs. Just an empty stairwell. I told myself he was just fast, observant, and I was overreacting because my life was a mess of deadlines, caffeine, and loneliness. I took the antihistamine like he'd said. 3 days later, he came back. Same building, same late hour, different restaurant. I was angry after a stupid argument with my manager and ordered a burger, fries, and a milkshake to self-medicate. Estimated delivery time, 40 minutes. He rang in 15. Delivery for Ola. The intercom crackled. You're still not answering your mom's messages. Huh? My heart dropped. What did you say? 13th floor? He repeated, ignoring the question. I'm downstairs. I buzzed him in. When I opened the door, it was the same guy. Same jacket, same backpack, same unreadable eyes. Milkshake in hand, he nodded at my phone lying face down on the table behind me. 6 missed calls in 2 days, he said. You muted the chat, but you read the previews. My phone's over there, I said. You're not the only one ignoring someone, he answered, as if that explained anything. You should call her. She worries. It's inefficient. And then, like nothing strange had been said at all, good night. After he left, I checked my phone. 6 calls from my mom. Muted chat. Worried messages. I called her the next morning. We talked. She cried a little. I pretended not to hear. When we hung up, I felt as if someone had nudged something heavy inside me an inch to the side. Still, I told myself, coincidence. Data leaks. Apps know too much. Delivery people see everything. That would have been a nice, rational ending. But he kept showing up. Different days, different apps, different restaurants, always eventually reassigned to the same courier, Andrei. I saw it happen in real time once. My assigned rider was Pavlo, then the app glitched, refreshed, and suddenly it was Andrei, with the icon already much closer than it should have been. He started dropping details that went past creepy into impossible. "You've stopped putting mushrooms on your pizza," he remarked once, handing me a box. "Funny. As a kid you used to line them on the side of the plate like soldiers." "How do you know that?" I snapped. "You weren't there. I was delivering groceries on your street," he said. "Different jacket. Same job. We didn't even have delivery apps back then." He smiled slightly. "You changed the interfaces. The function stays." I laughed it off in front of him, but the moment the door shut I was shaking. That night I pulled up the building's security camera feed, scrubbing backwards to when he'd come in. There I was, opening the entrance door. There he was, stepping inside. Only his face blurred. The camera caught his outline, the jacket, the bag. But where his features should be, the pixels slid away, avoiding focus. I zoomed in until it was all blocks of color. Still nothing. 5 minutes later, another courier came in, crystal clear, every pimple and grin visible. I replayed the sequence until morning, half hoping the feed would magically fix itself. Didn't. "You're just burned out," my friend Max messaged when I told him. "These apps know everything. Chill. Stop ordering so much, you're feeding Skynet." Maybe he was right, so I tried to stop. For 2 days I survived on pasta and cereal. On the third day, a storm hit. Work was chaos. My head throbbed. My fridge held only a dying cucumber and mustard. I gave in. Different app. Different cuisine. Fake name on the account. No allergy notes, no comments. I picked a sushi place across the city, paid with a virtual card I'd used once. Assigned courier, Yaroslav. I watched the scooter icon crawl across the map. 10 minutes, 20. Halfway through, the app glitched. The name flickered. Assigned courier, Andrei. By the time he rang the door, my hands were shaking. "Delivery for Ola," he said. "You turned on your camera this time." I looked up. The little door camera I'd covered with tape was bare and glowing red. "What are you going to do to me?" I asked. "Nothing," he said with the slightest hint of amusement. "I'm a courier. I deliver." This time I propped my phone up on a shelf, recording video of the door. If something was off, I wanted proof. "Prove you're not just some hacker with good memory," I said when I opened. His gaze moved to the phone, then back to me. "Close the door to the latch," he said. "Leave a gap." Every instinct screamed no. I did it anyway. The chain slid into place. The door stayed open a couple of inches. I could see one of his eyes, the edge of his cheek, the corridor light. The bulb above us flickered and went out. My heart hammered. In the apartment behind me, sound seemed to dampen. Then the bulb came back on, but wrong, too bright, then too dim, like someone was turning an invisible dial. "Look at your cat," Andrei said quietly. I turned. Barsic hung frozen mid-jump between the couch and the chair, stretched out in the air, tail like an exclamation mark. A drop of water from the leaky window hovered in space. Mid-fall. The microwave clock stuttered on the same second. My breath caught in my chest. "I've slowed your local frame," his voice said from the crack of the door. "Relative to the building. You stop time." "Not exactly. Think of stepping into a side corridor while the main hallway keeps going." I touched the raindrop. My finger trembled right past it. It didn't move. My knees threatened to buckle. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you kept asking," he said. "Because you started seeing patterns, and that changes your role in the test." "What test?" "The one we've been running since long before any of you were ordering noodles at 3 in the morning," he said. "Your species is building a logistical nervous system. You use it to move everything that matters to you. Food, medicine, gifts, excuses to avoid cooking. You invite strangers to your door, give them your address, your preferences, your little vulnerabilities. You rate them with stars and punish them when they're late." His voice stayed calm, almost bored, but underneath there was something else. Not anger, something colder. "We travel those routes," he said. "We always have. Caravan, mail coach, postman, milkman, courier. Name changes, function doesn't. It's a perfect place to watch you." "To watch what?" My mouth was dry. "How you treat the ones you believe are beneath you, When you think no one is watching, he said. Given a small amount of power, ratings, tips, anonymous complaints, what do you do with it? That's your civilization stripped of slogans. Wait, I said. You're telling me you're… what? Aliens posing as delivery guys to judge how polite we are? A short laugh. If it makes it easier, you can call us that. Alien. Other. It's just a label. We've been moving along your supply lines since before you understood what stars were. The raindrop finally hit the floor with a tiny splash. Barsic landed on the couch, startled. For puffing. The microwave clock blinked to the next second. My ears popped. I staggered. The corridor light stabilized. Your phone captured none of that, Andre said, as if commenting on the weather. You can check later. I believed him. I opened the door fully, chain rattling. He stood there like nothing had happened, holding the sushi bag. Why me? I asked. Why talk to me? Because most don't notice, he said simply. They see delays and discounts, not patterns. You started watching the routes, the names. You watched the cameras. When someone notices the edges of the test, we pay attention. We see how you adapt. And what am I supposed to do with this? I asked. Save the world from bad star ratings? He tilted his head, thinking. Start smaller, he said. When you can tip. When you're angry, maybe don't weaponize that against the person at your door. Answer your mother's calls sometimes. Offer water in a heat wave. Be slightly less cruel when nobody important can punish you for cruelty. That's your big cosmic instruction? I said. Be nice to delivery guys? Being nice is cheap, he said. Being fair when you're tired and no one's looking. That's data. And if the data says we're terrible? His eyes shifted past me, to the window, the storm, the city. Then we log it, he said quietly, and decide if it's worth investing further, or if this experiment gets shelved. I didn't want details. You think we'll pass? I asked. You already fail every day, he said. And you surprise us every day. That's why I'm still working this route. He handed me the bag. Our fingers brushed. His hand felt normal, warm, calloused. Why tell me at all? I whispered. You tell stories, he said. That's one of the more interesting things about your species. Sometimes a story shifts a behavior by 1%. 1% matters at scale. He hesitated, listening to some silent notification. I have to go, he added. The next client is about to complain their fries are cold. Will I see you again? I asked. He gave a small shrug. You live in a good sampling zone. That's not an answer. It's the only honest one, he said. He turned and left. On the security footage later, his face was still a blur, but his outline looked slightly sharper, as if the system was gradually learning to accept something it hadn't been built to see. The sushi was mediocre. I ate it anyway, staring at the rain. Nothing in my life changed overnight. I still overworked. Still scrolled myself into numbness. Still ordered food when I was too empty to cook. But every time the app asked about tipping, I hesitated a little longer. Thought about storms and heat waves and people on bikes at 2 in the morning. Thought about a civilization somewhere tallying up all the little ways we choose to be decent or not when we're hungry and anonymous. I started offering water. Sometimes tea. People were surprised. They'd smile, awkward and tired, say thank you like no one had said it all day. I tipped even when orders were late. Wrote not courier's fault more often. Felt stupidly small, like patching a sinking ship with band-aids. But I kept doing it. Weeks passed. Sometimes my orders went to random names. Sometimes the screen flickered and Andre appeared again at the last moment. He never froze time in my apartment again. Instead, he dropped smaller things. Your neighbor on the 15th gives frozen water bottles to couriers in summer, he mentioned once. She never tips in the app. Her impact is still positive. Impact? I asked. Different metric, he said. Yours are too simple. Another time, when I admitted I still hadn't visited my mom, he said, You're afraid she'll think you failed. You're also afraid she'll be proud of you in a way you don't feel you deserve. Both can be true. Call her anyway. I did. It went badly, then better, then worse, then fine. You know, family. Max still laughs when I mention the cosmic courier test. He sends me memes. Aliens in helmets on scooters. Tip your overlords. I laugh back, because I don't know how to explain that the idea actually scared me less than it made sense. If some advanced intelligence wanted to know what we really are, why would they listen to our speeches or scroll our profiles? They'd watch how we act with small stakes, with strangers, with an excuse to be selfish. They'd put on a jacket, ring our bell, and watch. The last time I saw Andre, so far, was on a quiet holiday morning. I'd forgotten the shops closed early, had nothing for breakfast, ordered bread and milk in a rush. He handed me the plastic bag, glanced at my screen where the tip percentage sat waiting. "You're improving," he said lightly. "Small but measurable." "At tipping?" I asked. "At noticing," he said. "At adjusting without needing a disaster first." "Is it enough?" I asked. I wasn't even sure if I meant me or all of us. "For now, it keeps the route open," he replied. He turned to go, then added over his shoulder. "Next time your neighbor on the 9th floor screams at a courier for being 5 minutes late, you don't have to lecture her. Just later, when you're both in the elevator, maybe say, 'Hey, traffic's bad. They have it rough.' Be slightly inconvenient to cruelty. That's all." The phrase stuck. "Slightly inconvenient to cruelty," I repeated. He smiled. "We'll see where that gets you." He walked away, and the corridor swallowed him. I closed the door and leaned my forehead against it, listening to my apartment breathing quietly around me. My cat jumped on the table and headbutted the milk. Outside, bikes and scooters and cars moved through the city's veins, carrying bags and boxes to doors that opened and closed all day. Some of those people were just that, people tired and underpaid. Maybe some weren't. In the end, I don't know if our scores as a species are good enough. I don't know what they'll decide. What I do know is that how we treat the ones who bring us what we want when we're hungry and annoyed is probably a more honest answer to "Who are you really?" than anything we'd write about ourselves. So when the doorbell rings now, and I hear a tired voice say "delivery," I still feel that little jolt in my chest. Maybe it's just a student on a bike. Maybe it's somebody from very far away. Either way, I open the door, try to look them in the eye, and tip a little more often than I used to. Just in case the future of our glorious civilization really does depend, a tiny bit, on how much respect we show the person standing there with a plastic bag and a quiet, measuring gaze.